Welcome to the Backyard Farm.
Hey guys, it's Kyle with Backyard Farming Supply. We're here to give you a couple pro tips on the top 3 things we want to avoid when starting a new garden. First and foremost, most people get really excited when starting a new garden. They want to try everything out there, they kind of want to put it together, and they want to absolutely get everything out of their garden they possibly can. Problem is, a couple of things actually don't really like to be planted next to each other. We got a really good example of this right here. These are a couple tomato plants planted right next to some pepper plants that they themselves actually dwarfed the second that we planted them next to these plants, that overshadowed them and upset their life cycle and their light cycle. Over here at the exact same time, we planted a few more pepper plants that are again completely full and absolutely bushing with fruit, flowering all over the place, really, really tall plants. Again, those plants were planted at the exact same time. Totally different here, open area versus planted next to a plant they don't really like to be next to. So the solution to planting competing plants is to plant companion plants. Here we've got a great example of a couple companion plants. This is our corn right next to our squash. Our corn goes high and our squash stays low. Both are able to get the exact light that they need to be their absolute best. In the smaller gardens, we can do the same sort of thing where we plant things like eggplant up high and plant something low across the ground, like a low-hanging fruit, like a strawberry. It's important to ensure that these work well together. Again, like we looked at, even though pepper plants generally stay low and tomato plants go high, they don't work well together. It's about their root zone competition and making sure they're exactly what they need to be together. Right in the middle of these two, we've actually got some bean plants in there that are using the corn as a trellis to draw themselves upward. Again, high, middle, and low. In this one small area, we're able to plant 3 plants where normally you could only plant 1. And in gardening, this is really important to maximize our space and ensure that we're getting all that we're getting out of every single plant that we're planting. The second of our pro tips is to use the right kind of fertilizer. Using too much synthetic fertilizer actually damages the soil and doesn't leave a good environment for plants to grow. Use instead some organic fertilizers, and we're going to walk over to the organic fertilizer tank and show you exactly what we're talking about. Using a blend of organic fertilizers is the easiest way to feed our plants. They're soluble, they're clean, and the best thing about them is they feed the soil as well as the plant. This means long-term growth of our soils as well as healthier, happier plants. Let's feed these girls. Got our plants planted, now what do? We've got flowers going, but there's no bees around. The next step is actually to plant flowering plants. This is an important step that most people forget about. You don't think about flowering plants if you're working in a garden. They're 2 separate things, right? We're gonna show you why that's not the case. So here we are in front of our trees, and this is the solution. We're gonna plant flowering plants of all varieties to ensure that we attract pollinators from all over the place. This is gonna ensure our fruiting plants get the pollination that they need without needing to focus on their tiny little flowers in order to attract all the pollinators. Now, not just flowering plants, we need to plant a couple different kinds of flowering plants here. Here we've got a very small flowering plant with lots of small flowers and a very tight radius. Here, this is more of an open flower. This is to attract a wider pollinator, something like a bumblebee. This is something just more like a traditional honeybee. Then we've got these types of flowers that just spurt pollen all over the place. Now, any one of our pollinators can be attracted to something like this. And then we got here the traditional open flower top. Again, something simply can land on top of this, rub across it, spread pollen, and be on its way. More trees, more flowers, more bees, more fruit. Sounds like a win to me. For more information, check us out at backyardfarmingsupply.com.